Welcome to another episode of Design Under Influence. This show specifically focuses on helping architecture, design, and engineering professionals to use technology as a competitive advantage. In other words, let the tech do the grunt work so you can do your best work. That's kind of what we're all about. And today, my co-host and I, Boris, by the way, hello.
Hi, everyone. How are you doing today?
Just sound checking, making sure you're still here.
I'm still here.
Awesome. And so today we're going to talk about an important subject. I think that all of us, literally all of us deal with every day. But as companies, we deal with it a little bit differently. And that is upgrading your operating system to the next release. And so, Boris and I talked about this, and that's kind of what prompted this conversation today is, hey, Windows 11 is out, right, Boris?
Windows 11 is out, yeah, and some manufacturers already shipping it as part of their computer, as part of the computer build.
Yeah, and then on the Mac side, what's the news on the Mac side?
Monterey is out. It's been out since late November.
Yeah, and I just got a new MacBook, the M1 souped up thing, by the way. And those of you watching on video, it's just incredible in terms of like the camera quality. And I'm speaking into the mic. I'm not speaking into this mic, into the professional mic. I'm speaking into the Mac mic just to sort of have a little test and see how it works out. But in any event, Monterey is already pre-installed on mine, and I've already had to deal with a few issues. But anyway, so what we're going to do today, Boris, is we're going to talk about the timing and how to deal with these updates for the organization. So maybe you can lead us in and kind of, since we have a number of clients in the position now to update or not update, how do you think about this from a company perspective?
So I think your overall strategy as a company should be to wait, right? You want to. And I know some people are itching to get their hands on the latest and the greatest, but you want to make sure that once you update the operating system, it is compatible with all your other tools. And this is where we see the biggest issues is not all the tools are now compatible once you have the latest and the greatest installed. So our strategy and our advice initially is, look, you want to wait. You want to make sure that all the tools that you're using, all other companies release updates for their software to make sure that they're supporting the newest operating systems and the newest features, and they're actually playing nicely. And then you also want to make sure that all the bugs are worked out in the operating system itself, because usually what happens is it takes maybe one or two releases after, or one or two updates after, to actually get all the kind of bugs worked out to where it's stable. The first release is usually basically beta, even though they call it production, it's still some sort of beta that is not fully compatible with all the devices out there.
So you want that new Tesla because it just came out this year. You want to be one of the first ones to drive it out on the road, but that would be, I guess, still risky for an individual because, it's a new car, new production, new thing. And you're sort of taking a risk to, that it's not going to work properly. The metal's not going to fit. We know all the issues with Tesla, right? Especially Model 3 came out. In a business setting, this analogy doesn't really work as well because you have a fleet of Teslas, right? So you don't really see a lot of organization, like let's say a city of San Francisco adopting Teslas right as soon as they come out. It's not going to happen because it's going to break the business. It's going to not allow them to do the work. So with that said, Tesla, well, it's just in this comparison, let's just say it's a superior product. And yes, there is a reason why they make those updates and they work on them for years. And it closes a lot of loopholes and it helps with security. So how do you balance? This is the one thing I was thinking about. So if I am remaining on older operating system for, let's say, 2 to 3 months, would that be, by the way, what is the timeline recommendation on waiting? Because you said wait is the best strategy for the time being. What is that timeline?
It's more than 2 to 3 months, depending on the size of your organization and the amount of applications that you're using. We can talk about 6 months to a year being the realistic timeline, right?
6 months to a year before upgrading the system. Now, how do you make sure that the team sort of is like this strategy is consistent across the organization? Let's say I have 20 architects and I have a number of support people, and we have partners and we have contractors, whatever. How do I manage that stable of humans to make sure that one doesn't run ahead of the people?
So this would be also similar to not just updating the operating system, but also major upgrades across your other applications, whether it's Autodesk Suite or ArchiCAD or Vectorworks, right? Because all those tools require to be on the same version for you to work, right? As soon as one upgrades, everybody else has to upgrade in order to open those same files. So this is similar. You should already have those type of processes in place so that it doesn't cause issues for your workflows. So training your people would be very important, and just say, look, Windows 11 just came out. Please don't install it. So that would be one. Now, what we do for our customers is we have specific tools to block those updates. And so we manage all the updates and upgrades for our customers. So we have tools that allow us to block, let's say an upgrade to Windows 11 or an upgrade to Monterey. We also have, we have one client who still on macOS Catalina because the applications that they use for their daily design workflows don't work with Big Sur. So, we're blocking Big Sur and Monterey for them. So we're doing all of that to make sure that, somebody doesn't accidentally just upgrade, because downgrading is actually a bigger problem. On some of these systems, you can't even downgrade gracefully. Like you would lose all your data. You'd have to reformat the hard drive and so on.
You and I spend a lot of time educating people on security, cybersecurity, and all the issues. We designed a course, so you can find on our website, getarchit.com. It's a free cybersecurity course. We also have an ebook or guide. But having said that, this was always my concern. When I'm one or two systems behind the current, am I not a target?
So with both of these, the Microsoft side and the macOS side, the operating systems are still in full support. So Windows 10 is going to be in full support until year 2026, I believe, if not longer. So there's once a new operating system comes out, the older ones are still in support for at least 5 years. So that means all the security updates are still being included for those systems. And installing security updates, we not only do we recommend, we encourage everybody to install the security updates. Just don't get the big upgrade, right? So when you look at options, when you get that pop-up that updates are available, you will see that there's, on your Mac, you would see security update for macOS, Big Sur, and then it'll have like a, version 11 dot something. And then let's say, an upgrade to Monterey. So those are two different things. So you can still install the security update, just make sure you don't install the Monterey one. So yeah, but I guess, so the point is, all the operating systems are still supported. It's only the features that you're really missing. So if you really want some feature that, only Monterey has or only Windows 11 has, then you're kind of, holding yourself back from using that feature. But from a security standpoint, that's not an issue.
Now, what have you seen from your experience over the last, 10 years plus serving architects? What have you seen in terms of tech stack? And by tech stack, I mean the tools that architecture design and some extent engineering companies use. Which tool or set of tools typically are the laggards? In other words, you have to wait the longest to be updated to the new system. So only then you can update your whole your computer and your operating system.
Well, I think what happens is your major design tools are your biggest constraint. So your Autodesk Suite, your ArchiCAD, your Vectorworks. And the reason for that is, especially in larger firms, when you have more projects and also projects that take longer time to complete, right? From design, from initiation to completion, could take years, right? Like 5 years, 7 years for some of the bigger commercial projects. So what happens what happens there is you're still using the older version of the software. So let's say you're using Autodesk AutoCAD 2018 because you still have that project in 2018 and all your consultants are using 2018, and you can't upgrade. You can't upgrade it to a later version of the Autodesk product. And let's say AutoCAD 2018 or Revit 2018 doesn't work on Windows 11. It only works on Windows 10. So there's your constraint, right? You need to stay on Revit 18 and you need to stay on Windows 10 until that project goes to completion, or until you upgrade the project and make sure all your consultants can upgrade the project to a later version of Revit. At that point, you can then migrate to a later version of the OS.
Now, as an IT provider, what do we do, and what should architects expect their IT provider to do in this regard when projects are lagging, when projects are lengthy, and is one project essentially preventing upgrading to a new system for years? I mean, is that what you're seeing? How do you manage that?
So, it's having conversations. It's understanding the workflow inside the firm, and it's understanding where the project is. Because if a project is nearing completion, then maybe it's okay to wait 3 months, right, before it closes out, and we can eliminate that older version of software off of the system. But if it's something that is still going to go on, then we have conversations about, look, this software is now end of life. We can't upgrade the operating system because of this. Let's figure out a way if we can upgrade this project. And a lot of times, just by having those conversations and raising that question or concern, we then get buy-in from the rest of the team that is fine to put the little extra effort into upgrading the project and moving on.
Gotcha. Now let's talk about individual setting. So I'm on my laptop. What is your recommendation for those maybe that don't have IT support, or for home computers, for those that do, whatever? What is the kind of setting you recommend? Because you can set your updates frequency and your automate updates or not. How do you have it done on your computers at home?
How do I have it done on my computers at home? That's a good question, because I also use the same tools we use to manage our business customers on my computers at home. So it doesn't always work. I think the biggest challenge there is the fact that you can either set it to automatic or not automatic. So if you set it to automatic, it's going to automatically try to install everything. If you set it to manual, then you need to remember to at least check for updates, at least once a month, right? So the suggested setting would be manual, because you then get some control, but you also need to remember then to check once a month to make sure, okay, so there's security updates. I can manually choose which ones to install, and basically that will help with more control and mitigating all the issues we're talking about.
When you have it set manually, don't you get notifications of the updates anyway, or no?
Depending on the operating system. So actually, I believe in both, in Windows and in macOS. You can set it to check for updates, but not to install. I know in Windows, there's a setting for that for sure. macOS is constantly changing, so I need to know if that's still an option. But yeah, if there's a setting to allow you to check for updates, but not to install, you basically get notifications, and then it allows you to choose the time when you want to install them. And you can also look in and select the updates that you want to install.
Gotcha. Since we're in the timeline, towards the tail end of 2021, as we're recording this, 11 and Windows 11 and Monterey are right now what we're dealing with. Can we finish off with maybe you listing a few desirable features that you find our clients are clamoring for in either? Can you isolate something that you can think of that would be desirable to make the switch sooner?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot.
Well, you deal with this every day. Is there I guess if it's okay if the answer is no. Is there anything clients are asking for? Hey, I want to upgrade because
no. So I don't think there's anything from the standpoint of a business case in that sense, right? I think it's more of when we want to use it, when we want to tinker with things, right? So like in Windows, there's a new interface and it looks cool for some people. Some people absolutely hate it. So that's one other reason why you don't want to update is because the interface changes and you're like, where's all my stuff, right? So, I mean, that would be an interesting, I guess, an interesting scenario in terms of upgrading to Windows 11 to learn the new interface, or because it looks slicker and it's kind of, a lot of people compare it to a macOS interface in that sense, where it's nicer icons, everything is kind of easy to find. So that may be one of the benefits. But again, that can also be detrimental in terms of where do I find stuff now. On the macOS side, well, maybe I can ask you, like, you've used Catalina before, and now you have Monterey. What are some of the features that you found more useful?
Now you put me on the spot. This is well, because I got a new Mac, right? I got a new computer, and that's, with the M1 chip, and I have not seen, when the computer has fans, right? And the fans just start blowing up as soon as I open Teams, which you use internally for all communication, right? Mm-hmm. And by the way, we recommend that highly, or something similar like Slack, whatever. But Teams, what we use. And as soon as I open up Teams and we start talking, God forbid I send a picture or something, it's just the fans are whirling and it's noisy. And during the podcast, it would happen too. But yeah, this guy, I haven't heard of fan once yet. And I've been doing graphics and stuff like that. But anyway, not to pimp this out. What I'd say is this, like the stupidest feature that is really helpful for me is how easy it is to find the button called focus. So what it does when I do deep work, it's so easy and tempting to get interrupted with chime here, update, notification there, and the beautiful thing about now this new system, and I'm sure there are tons of other really cool features, like the way it's laid out, its readability on the Finder window. There's like these small things that actually provide significant, I think, productivity gains and just simplifies workflows. Like finding a file in Finder is just somehow is a lot easier. I don't know what they did, but anyway, this focus button so far to me has been extremely useful. And I know how silly that sounds, but I do a lot of we do a lot of content and we do a lot of deep work thinking strategy and those kinds of things. And yeah, I getting interrupted is a travesty, man. That's the thing that what the focus button does, it does the iPhone as well as a computer. So you just completely
that's nice.
In your bubble. Yeah.
I like
very
that.
Nice. So that's my favorite feature.
Awesome.
But I'm still a novice. I just started using it. And the only reason I upgraded is because I got a new computer. I had this update, as you said, queued up for me on my previous MacBook Pro, but I didn't do it just for the reasons that we discussed. So very cool. Any parting wisdom you want to impart onto the audience in terms of maybe some tactical advice, the how-tos or what you've seen gone wrong with updates and not updates?
Well, I think we've covered a lot that can go wrong in this episode, right? So compatibility issues, user interface changes, all of that will impact your productivity in a negative way initially. So I think we should talk about some of the tactical steps, because you don't want to, lag in terms of this update, because eventually all your other software is going to outgrow your current operating system, right? So you will still need to upgrade eventually. It just has to be a planned process. And the way we usually work with clients is we identify one or two pilot people, right? So people that can pilot the new operating system, where they're more technically savvy and they're okay with some of the changes that are possibly there. And we also, we have a spare in place with the old setup just in case. So we give them the new operating system, we install the new software, and they started using it. And they're reporting, we're checking in with them in terms of any issues that they're seeing, anything that can come up and cause a business disruption, right? So once we gather all that feedback, and if they're reporting, look, everything is okay, we've tested this, this looks great, this is even better, we can help, this can help our business even more, right? at that point, we can make a decision and roll out the upgrade to the whole company. So basically, the tactic here is have a few people test, make sure all your applications and all your workflows are still functioning. And if you're a larger company that has kind of, different departments, then you probably want one person from each department to test it out because the software is different, the tools are different, the workflows are different. And in that case, you can roll it out kind of department by department as well. But it has to be, first tested, and then it has to be kind of a one-time event for the whole company because we want to make sure that everybody's now using the same system. Because a lot of times we see incompatibilities between two different systems, as we talked about software, but also like if somebody's on Windows 10 and somebody else on Windows 11, the people on Windows 10 are now seeing some issue because the Windows 11 users save the file somehow different. So there's stuff like that.
Yeah. So there's like never ending complexities as the systems get more complex and more code is written to solve more problems. It just piles up. So that's great. So basically a staged rollout, do a pilot, then, with intentionality, do the testing, roll it out to the rest of the organization. And, here we go. We'll wait for next time. So those are the kinds of things that, I guess IT providers, good ones, that's a big value. Well, it's part of the value. It's fairly sizable value because, if you just knee jerk it, this could be significant impact to the business productivity, upset people, clients not getting the right, information, blah, blah, blah. In any event, I think this was very good. I think people might have questions on this particular topic because a lot of it is like situational, or sometimes like we've gone through concepts, but there's some situational stuff. So I want to open up an invitation, folks who are watching or listening on the pod, to reach out to us with questions. Just go getarchit.com. Go to work with us, and you don't have to hire us for this. You can just ask a question. It's not a problem. We'd love to serve you and your whole company from your IT perspective needs. Take care of your IT needs, but it's not how we work. We don't have hard sales tactics. None of that. You can just fill out a form. Boris will get back to you. We'll have a conversation. We'll help you out. We don't. It's a long. We're in a long game. We're not here to scratch a living by, aggressive sales tactics, nothing like that. So anyway, feel free to reach out because it is situational. You might be on the Windows 9 and then, what to do. And
Windows 9. There's no Windows 9.
How about Windows 3.1? I know there's one.
Yeah.
Anyway, I appreciate you all watching, and happy holidays if you are still listening to it in December 2021. If not, we appreciate your time anyway, and all the best to you. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, everyone. Have an awesome day.